And we're back to learning Premiere Pro, and this time I'm going to give you a couple of tips about creating a slideshow. I have 3 example images right here, all about a beach theme. I've placed them in my timeline. At first you want to check the scale, so in this case 100 is way too big for my YouTube video size and 25 would be too small, so I made it 50, and you need to check that for all images. Once you've done that, select them all, hold Alt and drag them upwards to video channel 2, so we've got copies. I'll make video channel 2 invisible and I'll go back to video channel 1. We need the effects panels. If you can't find that, go to Window and then click on it. We need the Gaussian blur, drag and drop it on the first image on video channel 1. So here it is. We need the effect controls. If you can't find that, go to Window and click on it. And now I'll check it. Maybe 50 is not intense enough. Let me make it 100. Then I'll right click on the Gaussian blur and copy it. And I can press Ctrl V for the second and third image, or just right click and paste, so that all of these images have this Gaussian blur with a blurriness of 100. I'll make video channel 2 visible again, and now I go to the first image on video channel 2 and I scale it down. Let me go to the effect menu again and I use shadow, radius shadow, and I drag and drop it on the first image. You want to check resize layer right here. Go down with the projection distance. I would use a value between 1 and 5, not bigger, to create this frame. Opacity I set it to 100. On the light source you can reposition it slightly. If, for example, you use 500 times 400, you can see that this frame is a little bit adjusted. Increase the softness. 100 is the biggest value. It feathers out the edges. So if you try, for example, 500, it won't work. 100 is the max. Oh, we're fine with this one. And now let me show you the animation for the first image. I check scale right here, so the clock icon, and rotation. I'm at the start, and now I go to the end, and I go 1 frame backwards with the left arrow key, and I create new keyframes by clicking on the circle, and let me adjust rotation and scale a little bit. And if I now play it, you can see it gets scaled up slightly and it rotates. Now let's jump to the second image. But first go back to the first one and then Ctrl C on the radial shadow and then Ctrl V to paste it on the second and third image. We'll go back to the second one. Once again, I'll scale it down so that we can see it. The radial shadow, you can also sample a color by clicking on this color picker. And for example, use this dark blue. So that's also possible. I decrease the projection distance a little bit. But we should be good here. Let's animate this image as well. Again, I use scale and this time also position. I go to the end, 1 frame back with the left arrow key, and then create new keyframes by clicking on the circles. But this time I want to scale it down, so I'll start with 25 at the start and at the end it's 20. And I want to reposition it, so I go to the start and drag it to the left right here with the first value, which is set to 960 for now. And I jump to the end and I drag it to the right hand side with like 1300. Let me roll it and you can see that this is now animated so that it moves from left to right and it gets a little bit smaller. Maybe I'll rotate it a little bit, but I don't animate it. I'll just keep it like this with -3 degrees. Let's go to the last image. I'll scale it down, which is the first step. You can also pick a color for this radius shadow. Maybe I'll make it white. And I decrease the projection distance. But that should be good. Now let's animate the final image. I go to the start. I use position, scale and rotation this time. I go to maybe like -5 at the start for rotation. Then I go to the last frame, create a new keyframe and I set it to plus, let's say 3 degrees. New keyframe for scale. So that I scale it up a little bit. And position, you can also go from top to bottom, which is the second parameter right here on the position. So just this value, and if I roll it, this one now rotates a little bit, it scales up, and it goes from top to bottom. And these were a couple of tips about how you can spice up your slideshows in Premiere Pro. I hope this video was helpful, thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.